Welcome to the Formless Guide, the space of self awareness and mindful growth of consciousness. We find ourselves moving through a moment of profound turbulence. A war is unfolding, and with it comes a depth of pain that is difficult to hold. These days are shaped by a radical uncertainty, and within that uncertainty arises a quiet but essential question. Where do you place yourself inside all of this? And how do you regulate the intensity without collapsing into it? How do you draw upon your spirituality, not as an abstract idea, but as the very capacity that allows you to survive, to stay present, and to remain human in the midst of such heaviness? When the outer world grows loud with distraction, it becomes a mirror. Humanity has stood in front of this mirror many times before. In October of 1913, just before the First World War had erupted, Carl Jung was seized by a waking vision, so overwhelming that he feared he was losing his mind. In the Red Book, he described seeing a massive flood swallowing Europe, carrying the rubble of civilization, and then transforming into a sea of blood. Only later did he understand that he was not witnessing a personal madness, but the psychic tremors of a collective catastrophe that had not yet reached the physical world. And if we look even further back, we find another mirror in this ancient world. More than 2,000 years ago, Emperor Ashoka waged the brutal Kalinga War. When the dust settled and he stood among the dead, he did not feel the triumph of conquest. He felt his soul rupture. In that moment, surrounded by the raw truth of suffering, Ashoka realized that the real battlefield was not the land he sought to control, but the craving and violence that lay within his own mind. This realization created a breaking of the cycle for him. He laid down his weapons and embraced the path of the Buddha, and he devoted his life to compassion and non-violence. Ashoka remains a reminder that even the most entrenched patterns of harm can dissolve when suffering is allowed to awaken empathy rather than numb it. Throughout history, war has appeared in physical, psychological, and emotional forms. In fact, many of us repeat these patterns in quieter ways, caught in the same cycles of samsara described in the Theravada. And even when we study the vastness of history, we still find ourselves asking, what do I do now? How do I understand my role in moments like this? To understand what gives rise to war, we must look at two forces: the vast uncertainty that shapes human behavior, and the forgotten presence of compassion within the race to win, dominate, or be right. When you turn to media, news, podcasts, commentary, you are often met with a subconscious bias, hostility, and the mask worn by societies and their leaders. These are not just political distortions, they are reflections of a collective delusion. When you look at the outer conflict, you are also seeing the unresolved battles within. Theravada teachings can remind you that the world is a projection of the inner state of suffering. Recognizing this does not excuse harm, but it allows you to step back from reactive anger and move towards the deeper lesson: compassion as a stabilizing force. And your spirituality is not ornamental, it is not a luxury, it is your survival mechanism. Your ability to regulate the intensity of uncertainty without being consumed by it. So, how do you step out of this historical loop in your own way? How do you interrupt the karmic repetition of harm? You make compassion the center of your growth, especially when the world has forgotten it. When you encounter the noise of the media, notice the hostility without absorbing it. See the pain beneath the mask and offer loving kindness to the collective field. When you feel yourself entering the race to win an argument, pause. Soften the ego. Let compassion speak instead of the craving to be right. All of us have these moments. But when the uncertainty of the world feels paralyzing, I'd like you to return to your practice. Let awareness become a quiet sanctuary where you can breathe, regulate, and remember your humanity. You are not powerless. Every moment you choose mindful compassion, you shift the balance of the whole. Ultimately, the only true answer to war is the absence of it. But in the face of reality, truth, guided by compassion, becomes the force that dissolves not only the great conflicts of our world, but the smaller wars still living within us. And it is these inner wars that, if left unattended, that shape the collective harm that we now see today. I'd like you to take the time and employ this practice. Spend those times where you feel agile, when you feel like you don't know what to do with all that is being exposed right now. Let yourself find this space. This is your Formless guide with your message of compassion. But you need to have the will to keep that compassion. Chaos will always be there, but it is not yours. It is simply a happening within your presence. Signing off.